Hi, I'm Peggy with Headshots by Peggy, and today Victoria Hoffman joins me, and you are going to love this. Victoria, I am so glad we finally got together. We've been trying for a long time to do this vlog.
Yes, we have.
So I'm glad I just reached out and was like, hey, what are you doing tomorrow? Let's do this.
And this is the beauty of Zoom.
Exactly, exactly. So, for those of you who don't know, Victoria Hoffman is amazing. She is a casting director. She works with the AFI. Do you still officially work with AFI? Okay. You
Mhm.
also work, I don't know if you still do. So, I should just let you introduce yourself, but I'm going to blotch it all up and then you can correct me. How's that? For the SAG-AFTRA Conservatory, do you still work pretty close with
I,
them?
I still work with the SAG-AFTRA Conservatory,
Perfect.
and I'm on the LA Conservatory Committee at
Okay.
SAG-AFTRA. So yeah, so
Good.
yeah,
So you're just up there doing all sorts of stuff, and you also do a lot of theater.
yes,
In fact,
yeah.
I think that's where we officially met you. Is I think Merrick did a reading or something at the Road with you once. I don't
That
know.
is where I first
Yeah.
saw him at the
Yeah.
road. You're right. You're
Yeah.
right. Oh, that's so interesting.
Yeah.
And then, of course, TV Academy functions.
I know. I remember when we used to go get dressed up and go do those things.
Remember that?
Remember? I really miss that. I have to be honest, I didn't think I would miss it as much as I do. I really miss it a lot.
Yeah,
I miss it a
yeah.
lot.
And for anybody that's listening, the Television Academy, until this year, and because of quarantine, used to sponsor the different shows, and the different networks would sponsor these events that we could go and we could see a screener, and they'd feed us, and then you'd get to talk to the actors because they want your vote as an Emmy voter. And so it was just a really good opportunity for us to see one another and sort of commune with other artists, and also all kinds of interesting projects were born from many of those occasions, just from those conversations.
Exactly. Networking is so important because
Yeah.
it's just you get people, creative people together talking and it's like, "Oh, you do that? Oh, wow, let's do that. Oh, I had this idea." And, things just that's how things get born. And I feel like that's what we're missing right now. Like, I know we went to one. Did you make it to the Westworld? The one and
No,
only? Yes, we
no,
went to the
I
one and only.
I
Um,
didn't get in, and then I heard from so many people that I should have just showed up because
yeah.
they
Yeah,
were
it
that
was
interested.
and they were already kind of it was right before the whole 6 feet everything went into, but we were still kind of distant, and but it was literally the last event we did before closing it all down. So yeah.
Mhm.
So I miss seeing you because I am used to seeing you several times a year at different things, and so I
I
absolutely
know.
miss. And you do casting for the AFI stuff, and I know
Yeah,
that our
yeah.
15-year-old, I delivered her headshot. So I'm like, hey, this is Sam. Make sure that you have these on file.
See,
So
this is fantastic.
tell us.
So for the AFI Conservatory, and we there's like the whole rest of the industry, there's conversations every single day. So we're almost like sitting vigil and watching and figuring out like when we're going to be able to come back safely, because all the different schools have to develop their own protocols for how to shoot and shoot safely. And so, we hope we're, mid to late September. We don't know, we were on that track, of course, and now we've, had a lot of quarantine measures rolled back, meaning put back in place.
Right.
Um, so, but, during a normal year, our first year fellows they do 3 short films in their first year, and they call them cycle films. And so that's about 90 films that are made that use the SAG Conservatory as their database. Not for kids. Kids under the age of 18. They can use anybody they want. And if there's something so specific that it can't be found within the SAG Conservatory, then of course they can look in the larger community of actors to find them. So so there's that, and then there's thesis films that happen as well, and those thesis directors often will, you know, call upon me in my office. My title is the manager of casting, so at the AFI Conservatory. So I'm just there to guide, and in some instances to cast. There are some thesis films that, you know, directors have reached out to me. It's going to be interesting, Peggy. I'm curious, and we'll be reaching out to actors shortly just to find out, you know, who would still want to work on a student film, on an AFI film, you know, as people start going back into the workplace. And it's one thing to be on a set and, you know, you're being paid and you're getting money towards your insurance. And it's another thing to be on a set when you're there for footage and experience, and, you know, and to do better work. Right. So I hadn't really realized, I hadn't thought about, like, oh, you know, it's going to be, you know, just a case by case basis of who really feels safe. Of course, we'll make sure that we create as safe a space as any place else in the industry, you know, like to school. You have to follow the rules even harder.
Well, and I don't know if everybody realizes, but AFI puts out some amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Mind-blowing, like what the heck stuff. And not only that, but the thing the actors need to think about, like, why would I want to go do a student film? Because these are going to be tomorrow's directors and writers and filmmakers. And if you get in early on with them, you have no idea who is going to put out the next big thing. I mean,
There is an actress friend of mine, Christine Sloan. I don't know if you've met her. I bet Merrick has met her somewhere along the way, because she does a lot of theater as well.
uh-huh.
And she was it in last year's season or the year before? I think she did something like 5 cycle films, first year films,
Wow.
right? And but then those directors moved on, so she did 2 or 3 thesis films this
Uh-huh.
year. She's got these relationships with these directors now that that wherever they are in the world, whatever they're making, they're going to be hiring her.
Yeah.
For sure, right? I mean, and she understands this, and she's gotten to do this really interesting work. She's was completely able to make her reel like over again, but with meatier material. You know, that, as you say, it looks gorgeous, right? I mean,
Oh, I remember we had a friend that was in a student film, and of course we went just, you know, because she was in it, and we got there and we were like, oh my gosh, this is better than half the movies we've seen at the theater. I mean, we were blown away because it was the festival or whatever, at the end of the year. So we watched several different films, and we were just like, wow, this is some high quality stuff. It's really
it's,
good.
it's interesting too. I mean, last year for the Student Academy Awards, 5 of the 7 finalists were AFI students, and the 3 gold, silver, and bronze medals were AFI students. Do you know what I mean? And the one wasn't, you know,
Right.
AFI. And then even this year now, like the Warner Brothers directing program, there's a Disney writing program, there's different programs where in each of those programs, there's 2 or 3 AFI grads sort of getting that sort of shortcut to work. So
Yeah.
I love seeing that. I love it for them, for the students, the fellows themselves, you know. But you know, they're encouraged, and they're challenged with telling very personal stories and original stories, and so I think that's why they turn out so well. And then, as you said, I cast a lot of theater around town, and a lot of that's going to be on hold for a bit, but with Rogue Machine, where I'm the resident casting director. But then, you know, I mean, at A Noise Within, and at Boston Court, and at the Greenway Terrace, I've gotten to do 2 shows for them. The New American Theater, so, you know, sort of spreading my wings,
Yeah.
you know. But you know, theater, that's where I found so many wonderful actors, and you know, it's like, where do you want to go? You want to find the great people? To be in movies, go to the theater.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so many amazing big movie people in theater that it's, as producers, writers, there's, you just
Yeah,
never know who you're gonna see at the theater.
I
It's
think too, sometimes, at least here in Los Angeles, some of the intimate theaters around town, you know, there'll be writers who, you know, writer producers who work in television a lot, who are wanting to work out a new piece of material.
uh-huh.
And maybe they think that it eventually will be a film, or might eventually be like a comedy pilot, right? But they'll do it on stage first. They come from stage, and maybe they want to work it out and see. And so that's a great opportunity, I
Yeah.
think. So yeah.
So, I mean, clearly we don't know when theater will be back. I know they're doing a lot of Zoom readings and Zoom productions right now to keep people active and, connected, but it's definitely not the same.
It's not the same, but I think what we'll find in the coming months is that, you know, theater companies and theater professionals are getting very creative in the space itself, and finding ways to create, a different kind of experience, where it might be in Zoom, but you're still getting a storyline, and you're still seeing characters, and when you go beyond the reading, when people are on book, to
Mhm.
something that's rehearsed, people are off book and really using their space and their camera, and like
Right.
all kinds of things like that. I think we're going to find, I've already seen some interesting things. Was something that came out of a company in London that was, the way they used Zoom was amazing. And if you didn't mind that you might be a part of the whole experience, you're supposed to leave your camera on.
Oh,
So,
wow.
yeah, and then they would give people prompts, and then they would zoom in on like a person, and all of a sudden you'd show up like, hey, we need for you to make rain, so let's hear you do this and make it, so it's like, okay, so people are doing some interesting
That's
things.
really
So
fun.
it's not that it's going to be completely dead, but you're right, it's not going to be the same,
Yeah.
right? It can't be the same. um, but at the same time, companies and artists aren't just going to not do anything
Well, that's the thing. We
for
are
the next 6 months.
creative people. We're going to figure out how to create. And that's what's been fun, is to watch what people are doing and how they're putting the medias together. Like, okay, well, we have a camera. Let's do this. What can we do? And people are getting very creative, and it's fun because it's given. I know for Merrick, he's been doing tons of classes, and just to keep his mind, just to keep
Mhm.
himself sane and, keep busy. And I know a lot of our friends, same thing. They're just doing lots of stuff just to keep busy and keep sharp. And, as you do that, you experiment and you're like, oh, well, here, let's try this, or let's move this light this way, or let's put this up. And,
Mhm.
you just you figure it out.
Well, I think, and particularly when you're talking about keeping sharp and maximizing opportunities, even here in quarantine, the opportunities of networking with casting directors have been, there have been so many of them,
Yeah.
um, because they've done monologue challenges, and the casting directors cut, the company of casting directors that also advises on reels, I think, um, they did like a Zoom movie challenge, a quarantine movie challenge, and they had people sending in 15 seconds, you know,
Yeah.
and they gave people. So I mean, there has been a lot of that, and I mean, I'm sure, as you say, Merrick is already seeing some self-taping come back in.
Mhm.
So some commercials are shooting. There's some that can, do it safely. Voiceovers never went anywhere.
Right.
So, voiceover casting and bookings and jobs are they might even be at a higher volume than they were, because it's the one sector that people can work from home quite easily, you know? So it's not like, you know, I feel like Monty Python, we're not dead yet.
So how do you think, what are you seeing as far as how is your method of casting going to change? How is your auditions going to change? I mean, self-tapes were already kind of a thing. Clearly they're going to be a lot more of a thing. Like, what are you
I
seeing and
think,
feeling?
I mean, as much as I hate to say it, but I mean, it self tapes are gonna be the way. So everyone has to just get used to it and get their process down. And every office is going to have a different idea of what it should look like. I mean, obviously for AFI, for those films, however anyone wants to send their self-tape in, I think that our directors, our fellows, really, they're not going to care. They're not going to care if you've got just the perfect ring light, or but, you know, you're still going to want to do things where you have not a busy background and you can be seen and you can be heard. But to me, the tricky part for everyone is going to be that callbacks and chemistry reads and such might also very well have to be on Zoom. And you can do that. You can do that. You can get a sense, but it's that sense of like, yeah, but how are people going to be together? What's really worth taking that particular risk? I mean, it's enough being on set and having your zone A that is the safest place where the actors can be, but for directors to rehearse with their actors, you know, I think, I mean, my supposition and my suggestion as our year starts up again is going to be to utilize this space, whether it's Zoom or whether there's so many other platforms that you can use. There's other platforms that do sound better, where you can overlap sound better, you know, so and they're filmmakers, they'll find a way.
Exactly.
You know? But I think for us, I'm also going to suggest you know, they could do a FaceTime session. They could do, you know, an iPad thing, but where they're calling, you know, like, that's possible. But I think as we hear, and I'm sure you and Merrick know this as well, that we hear from our union, and we hear from so many of the wonderful SAG Foundation webinars that have been produced and offered lately. Every casting director is saying, self-tapes. This is what we're going to have to do. It's going to be a while before we are going to feel safe having people come into our office.
Yeah.
Now, classrooms at AFI, you know, when we are given the go-ahead that it's okay for people to come back to campus, when that happens, you know, the rooms are large enough that you really can keep a safe distance from anybody coming into audition. So we'll see. I mean, I know that one of the things that we like and that the students need, that the directors need, is they need the experience of working like with an actor in a room, giving feedback, you know, seeing what works and what doesn't. And sometimes that's like this, like we can't really look each other in the eye here on Zoom, you know, and everybody's used to that, right? But it's different. I mean, I'm completely connected with you here, but if I look and now it looks like I'm looking at you, it's like, okay, well, I see that you're doing a thing.
Right.
I can't exactly tell what it is. So, you know, I think it's gonna slow the process down a bit. I think for television shows, I think there's a lot of offices that are actually rather excited by this because it makes their job easier. They can actually see more actors. They can get all of the casting tapes that they receive, you know, they can more easily funnel those to producers, right? What I lament is the face-to-face contact that's going to be lost for a time, not forever.
Not forever.
Because there's a lot of offices that really want you to come in, you know, so that want to see you, that like love actors and they miss actors. They want to talk to actors, you know?
Right. And I do love that so many casting people have done Instagram lives and challenges and, all these different things. I love that because I feel like I'm sure they're bored just like everybody else. So it gave them an opportunity to spend a little bit more time with people than they would have normally had. So it's some good is going to come out of this, but it's so different, it's interesting.
I've been really gratified to see some great actors who are also dear friends who have, been like in the top 10 of some of these challenges, and I think that that's being spread around a lot. So I love that sometimes even actors that aren't represented are now getting their work seen
Yeah.
by big offices. And so I think it's what we make of it, and you have to really, really stay open to whatever opportunities are presented. But not mm, overkill, because in a way there's been so much
Yeah.
that there's been this weird, to me, kind of like a quarantine FOMO, like, oh my gosh, what am I missing? Am I missing something? Wait, who's doing an IG live that I'm missing? No, I don't. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
but I've been really wanting to, listen intently about what other casting directors are doing and what other offices are doing. Just, because I feel that the more we can sort of be mirroring each other, because it's going to help the actor. You know, it's gonna have a certain kind of a protocol in place that everybody's going to feel comfortable with. You know.
Right. And if everybody's kind of doing similar things, it's going to be easier for um for the actor to like, okay, I can do this. I got this. And there's just like before, some offices had very, very specific self-tape instructions and other people are like, do a self tape, make sure you slate. And others are like, it has to be here and it has to be this and it has to be at this angle. And it has to be. And if it's not all perfect, we won't even consider. And it's like, you
This
know,
is this is when you're in really good shape being an editor.
yeah. And it's like sometimes I see those self tapes come through and I think, well, I do this. Like this is part of what I do for my clients. So I can do this, but I'm thinking of those actors that are trying to follow these instructions on their iPhone. And I'm like, this is tough.
I think it
Um,
can be. I think, this is why, in a way, you have to get it down to a science where you understand your equipment and how it works.
yeah.
You don't have to waste any time figuring that out.
That's why I'm always telling my viewers, like, whether you have auditions or not, every day do a self tape because then you're going to be comfortable with the tech side of it. Plus, you're going to keep yourself sharp anyway. And then when you get that audition, you're not scrambling around going, wait, where's my light? I don't know where do I stand? What do I do? You'll
Yeah.
have all those crazy things figured out. And you're going to know, like, okay, if I'm going to do this standing up thing, I need to have the camera here. And you'll always have all the tech stuff down. And that's, then you can concentrate on your audition and not worry about all the crazy stuff that they're going to ask for. How am I going to do a full body? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? You already have that figured out.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And also you might get all of that figured out, and then you're oh my God, I can't, why can't I edit this? Why can't I, I want this take and I want this take because they said I could send two, but I have to put it on the one file,
Yeah.
it's due, and I'm gonna be late. And so then there's that as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
So
you don't
do
want to
it.
do this great work and then miss out because you didn't get it uploaded in
Yeah.
time.
Or you didn't follow some crazy instruction on, and they were like, nope. And it's like, nah, you worked so hard and you had great stuff. So just do it every day, edit it. And then we have a whole file of quarantine self tapes that we just like, we do start to finish and we just throw them in there just so we
That's
look back
great.
on them and laugh and whatever. And look what we did. We thought we'd have a handful and we have dozens and dozens of these because
Well,
4 months now. 4 months.
we're on about 4 months now. Yeah, so
4 months. Yeah.
crazy,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Crazy. Right.
See, you don't have to tell our acting community to wear a face covering.
Right.
Like, we get it.
Yeah.
We get it, you know,
Like,
you know, it's none of it's worth the risk. So we stay in,
yeah. Yeah.
which is good. No, but you're right. I mean, hey, if anything, you know, you never know when one of these self tapes might come in handy.
Exactly. Or just to look back on as reference and like, because it's always fun to see how Merrick's even gone through and redone some old auditions. He's pulled other stuff from the internet, and then it is just fun to see where you see that character at this moment versus where you saw it 2 years ago when you read for it or whatever.
Well, that's
Just
true.
different.
And I think as well, and this is the piece of information that I've been saying it for years and years and years. Like, you know, like while I was, you know, the program manager of the SAG Conservatory, and even before then, when I used to advise actors, um, you know, ultimately we're better off if we are content creators. Like if we can also just continue to make something. So if you're doing a self tape every day, great, that's a thing that you're making. And if you're learning, even if something as easy as iMovie, great. But you're learning an editing program, you know. So the more you can do, and I think particularly now, as work comes back, it might come back more slowly than we might want it to, because everyone wants to remain safe, because days are going to they're not going to be able to shoot as much in one day as they used to, because of all the safety protocols, right? So, you know, my brain then says, well, okay, if maybe there's not as much work out there, maybe I've got to look to my community to see what we might be able to create together that a year from now could be up for a short form Emmy award, you know?
Right.
Well, because we're like rolling back to, you know, Emmys and Emmy events, but there are several web series that, you know, are created by actor friends of mine, and they're up for Emmy awards.
Yeah.
And
Was yesterday was I know it was this was yesterday the deadline for voting or
yeah, they were
yeah.
due
I,
last night.
yeah.
So
I know that Merrick was in locked in with his computer for hours, it seemed like. So
it takes so long. And like if you haven't, some of the guest star things, if it's a show you didn't watch, and you actually want to watch their performances
yeah.
and just weigh in.
Well, this is nice. That was one thing that I can say, because every year, it's like, okay, I want to watch this. I want to watch this. So this year we had plenty of time to watch things.
I still didn't get through it all though. Not all of it.
Yeah, I'm sure we didn't get through everything either, but we did get through everything that we were like, we have to see this, and so-and-so's in this, and we have to check this out. And, you know, and a few other things that just because.
Well, and I will say one of the one of the good things about all of these things on Zoom, and I would say to anybody that is listening to this as well, is, you know, check the different sites, like the SAG Foundation sites and the Netflix sites, and the I don't know if Netflix FYC SEE is open to everybody or just us. I'm not sure, but the Q and A's that are posted,
Uh-huh.
and some of them are now on certain YouTube pages of the different shows or the different channels. That they made all these things on Zoom and they recorded them, and, and these Q and A's are fantastic. I mean, we're not in the same room, but there are some where it's just one actor and another actor from a show having a conversation with each other. And so you learn so much about them. And so um, that's that's actually been really enlightening, is to listen to things like Olivia Colman and Helena Bonham Carter, you know, talking about their experience on The Crown, and they discuss their process, and they discuss, you know, being on set, and they discuss, you know, so many things just about the making of the show,
Uh-huh.
which I believe, be like, hey, this is interesting. actors should know these things. So,
Exactly. And sometimes I feel like out of these Q&As, what I find is, oh, they're human just like us. They had this struggle. They got here. They did, and it just brings more of a human side to things where you realize, oh, that could be me. Like that could be me. That's
Olivia Colman never thought she'd get the role on The Crown, to be Queen Elizabeth. And then she didn't think she was right for it. She didn't know, she couldn't quite find the voice for it. She struggled and struggled and struggled. And then I think one day threw her hands up in the air and said, okay, I'm not doing an impersonation of the Queen. I just need to embody this character. And I think when she sort of got that, at least the dialect, that very high, royal thing, after that, she eased right into it and did the thing that she knows to do, and that she just used all the other actors. Like, they say everything you need is in your scene partner's eyes, so it's something like that. So, right. But so, she's got these amazing actors around her, so she worked with and off of that. And of course, Helena Bonham Carter said, it's the wig. She said something like, what did she call her? Something like, her name's Olivia. I think she might have called her Ollie or something like that. Anyway, she goes, it's the wig. You have to keep the wig.
funny.
but no, but I'm, so again, just opportunities in the chaos,
Exactly.
which I think is wonderful.
So what is the SAG-AFTRA Conservatory doing right now? Are they
So when quarantine happened, SAG went into high gear, emergency gear. How are we going to make sure actors are initially, taken care of? Like, so the leadership on the national level decided to press pause on a lot of different programs within SAG-AFTRA, and the SAG Conservatory is one of those programs that they press pause on.
uh-huh.
So it's just in pause. It's just, I'm hoping that here in the fall, here in like August, when schools are sort of back, everyone's having to be home again at school, but that things might be under control enough that the programming can be relaunched, but on Zoom, in the Zoom space, because I think all of the different instructors, they've already migrated all their classes online.
Exactly.
So I do believe it can come back. It's just SAG-AFTRA needed to sort of funnel all the resources initially on identifying
Survival mode.
survival mode and COVID treatment, and making sure that all the resources were on the website for actors for like unemployment issues and for health plan issues and all of those things. So much had to go to that. So I mean, my fingers are crossed, and I'm in touch with the people running the conservatory, just to say, any news, but I do think it's also a question of resources and when they're able to refocus on all of the different programs that SAG-AFTRA offers. I think it's probably part of the reason that the SAG Foundation has had so many of these webinars with casting directors. Is they've said, well, because the SAG Foundation is its own entity, and and they're saying, well, we're gonna pick up here and figure out what we can do,
right,
to make sure actors.
If actors don't realize, which a lot of actors, SAG actors, don't realize that the conservatory is so amazing. So I know it's on pause right now, but it will come back at least.
Oh yeah, it's not going anywhere.
And it is such an amazing resource for actors. It's $65 a year-ish.
Not even. It's $45 for a year.
Okay.
And the membership is good for a year from the time that you join. And when it's, when we're back on a regular schedule, it's for this $45, and you know, who knows, they could decide to change price structures after all of this. I'm sure those conversations are being had, but it's this robust program of classes and workshops and networking events.
So many. I mean, you can't even take one acting class for $45, and you have a
No,
year worth of amazing
no, and you know,
instructors
the
and classes and workshops. It's
with really wonderful, the commercials classes, you know, are all being taught by working commercial session directors. um, I would love for any of those to be able to be migrated online, because you know, so useful to learn how commercial auditions are happening. Like, some studios have been able to open back up, but they're doing a lot of Zoom auditions as well. And that's
yeah,
very different in the commercial space.
yeah.
So I would love for conservatory actors to sort of get a primer on that. That'd be wonderful. But there's, you know, I'm having a brain fart, but there's a storied actor teacher, Alan, I'm having a brain fart. But he was teaching like a 6-week class, you know, every Monday for you know, 2 hours, you know, for $45. I think
Yeah, a
that's
year,
amazing.
45 a year, not 45 a class, 45 for the whole year. And
So I think like it's worthwhile to, and it's like you go to the website and you have to make sure you're logged in, and you do like sagaftra.org/LA Conservatory,
uh-huh.
and that lands you on the landing page. And so then there's a whole explanation of everything the conservatory does. I don't I don't know that you can enroll right now. I don't think they want any. I don't know if they want necessarily anyone to enroll right now until all the programming is back up and running. I know it's imminent,
Right.
so that's why I think it's a good idea to just keep checking. You know.
And the youth program, the youth conservatory, you don't have to be a member of SAG. Any youth can attend those. And I know Sam was going like every other Saturday forever. And I mean, from audition classes to just a range of even teaching how to run your social media. If you're an actor, how should you be running your social media? Like all of these amazing things. So I know that I've had people on here before and we've talked about it, but you are so involved, and I wanted to make sure that people realized what an amazing resource this is. And it's on pause, but it'll come back. So keep this on your list, to your to-do list. Check on this and follow up on this
Oh
because
yeah. Oh yeah. You know, I mean, it's actually on my list to
right.
get back in touch with everybody this week. Just, you know, it's hard. I know it's really hard. I mean, um, yeah. Again, so just so many of the union's resources had to go towards not just COVID, but contract negotiations, the
It's been a busy
theatrical
year.
contracts, and now
Been a busy year.
like voiceover is the animation contracts, like that's coming up. So yeah, there's been a lot. And you know, and it's a nonprofit, it's not this huge organization. So I know we'll be back. But then it's also like, when you're in the SAG Conservatory, you're in the database for AFI films, and it's a unique database for AFI films. And so um, there's a real shortcut. And I tell all the fellows that they're so fortunate to have this database, because I mean, these are all people that are already saying, yes, I'm interested in doing AFI films, I'm interested in working with you, I get it, you know, I get what it's about, I get that it's the learning experience for everybody. But it's also, and especially for young performers, it's,
Yeah.
I mean, you know, if you're a young performer and you're doing commercials and you're either getting no dialogue or you're getting thanks mom, you know, you know, and then you get this really wonderful role that, you know, allows you to create a whole character, and that's the thing that you can put on your reel to show, you know. um, I think that that's a real gift. you
And the
know.
networking, the people that you meet, I mean, that those could be life-changing, lifetime, you know, people. So this is it's I love the conservatory, and I love AFI. So I'm excited. You and I have talked about doing this vlog, and one silly thing or another always comes up. So I'm glad that you're here. Next time you come on, it'll be in
Yes.
person.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be
Hallelujah.
fun?
Absolutely. Oh my God, absolutely. And I can see you. I can see your pretty eyes. I think it's so fun. Everyone, look at the difference between these
I
two
know.
things. She's like blonde, blue-eyed, her lovely light, airy background. I got some kind of bordello going here. I don't know what
I
that
like it though. I like your, I I was thinking like, should I be doing these Zoom in the studio on a background? And I'm like, well, this is friendly and light, and it's
I like that. I like that.
but I love the you look so royal and classy over there.
That's look very royal, doesn't it?
I like it. And I love the hair light, look
Oh,
all
thank you.
very,
Thank
very
you
good.
so much.
Very well
Thank you.
done. Very well done. So what else do you want to tell my viewers? What didn't we cover?
Well, I mean, you're also the headshot queen, so, but they know
Talk to
that
me
from
about,
now.
yeah, I can't believe I didn't bring that up. So you're a casting director.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's talk headshots for a minute.
I mean, I'm I I think everyone's starting to knows at this point. That's the number one tool in your arsenal. Because wherever you're going to post that headshot, if that doesn't draw somebody's eye to you, then they're just going to go right past you. And they can be so evocative. I mean, obviously they need to look like you know. Um, but they want to you want to be caught in some kind of emotional state, feeling something, communicating something from the headshot. If it's just a super pretty, smiling, look at how great I look, there's a lot of those.
Yeah.
There's so many of those, right? And the beautiful thing is, I mean, we live in California with such wonderful light, so you do have the option of a natural light or mixed, a little bit of both, or saying to your photographer, I kind of like studio light. I want to try that. I want to see what that feels like. But um, um, it's you, whatever it is that you do, though, you've got to think here that you got that big.
Yeah.
It's like 2 by 2. It's little. And when we're looking at the submissions on breakdown, it's not, we're not seeing very very big a space, and so you have to sort of look at everything that you're looking at nice and big to see if you like it, and then look at the little version as well and make sure that your essence just jumps off. But you know what I mean when I say in some kind of an emotional state, or just communicating something.
So what I tell my clients, like when we're in a headshot session, like we get into it. We're like, let's talk about it. What is this character? What do we? Sometimes we'll run a short scene together just to really
uh,
get them,
Great.
in the moment, because your headshot. Everybody says your headshot has to pop. And people have this perception that, well, I have to wear red lipstick, or I have to wear, have a bright background, or like I have to have, it's like, no, what makes the headshot pop is right here. It's your eyes, it's your emotion. And there is absolutely a difference between, just the happy
Yeah, yeah,
smile
yeah.
empty versus you engaging with that camera and letting your photographer pull that emotion, that essence out of you. And that's what makes it pop, because as humans we understand eye contact. That's why we're always so lost on these Zoom, because we're like, I want to see your eyes, but I don't know where to look. I want you to see my eyes, um but because as humans we feel emotions through eyes, like we understand that. So when you give that emotion to the camera, then you as a casting director are going to see that, and that's
Yeah.
good. That's what pops. You're like, there's my police officer, there's my doctor, there's my,
Yeah.
that's what's going to pop. And that's
I mean, I think what I would say, and I'm sure, if somebody is lucky enough to be shooting with you, you're already going to tell them this, but anybody, if you're even if you're just starting out and you're going to have to go do the thing in your backyard, in your lovely natural light that's not direct sunlight. Um, um, but, you need to identify the character archetypes, like, what are the shows where when you watch them, the films or the television shows that you can see yourself doing, like, that's a character that I would play. And then what is that character? So, if it's a cop or if it's a lawyer, like, okay, well, what kind of lawyer are they, a prosecutor, an attorney for the defense, somebody that works, pro bono downtown LA. That's not somebody that's got a lot of money. Like, it affects not only what you might choose to wear, it affects the energy, you know, that you're going to, oh, I'm a mom, I'm a commercial mom. Okay, but are you stressed out? Are you low income? Are you high income? Are you Midwestern? Are you on the East Coast? Are you, like, there's just so many.
there's so many. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to be real. You've got to really be specific. And so I think for anyone that's even, that's considering, shooting, make a list, have this.
I have
Start.
a questionnaire that I send out to my clients, and I also have a questionnaire for people that don't know what their character is. It's kind of something to kind of help you ask people that know you, that that can kind of help you kind of break it down, and then you can get into specifically, okay, this is what we're going to accomplish in the headshot session. Because when you have that, then exactly what you said, that's going to depend on what wardrobe you bring to the studio. That's going to
Yep.
depend on, I mean, I used to have clients come in and I'd say, okay, what are we doing today? And they'd say, well, I want a good theatrical and a good commercial. And I'm like, okay, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, maybe, but not today. Today, it's so specific.
Yeah.
Like, know what you want. Just the pretty smile, that's great for grandma's wall, but trying to get work here. We're trying to get you in the door. We're trying to get Victoria to notice you and call you in.
Say, well, do it like her. And listen, and I wish I have headshots that I love that I save.
Oh
I'm,
yeah.
if you're of a certain age, back when we actually did accept headshots, it's still, I'm gonna say it the most efficient way. It's so much faster to, like, get a headshot in your hand, and it's like, oh, good face, oh, resume, versus I'm clicking and I'm clicking and, oh, good face, and let me click on the resume, load, load, load. Okay, like, oh my God, can this be faster? You
Right.
know, so, um, but this is where we are now.
It is.
But I mean, but the good ones, and of course at AFI, people are always dropping off headshots all the time, because sometimes actually I'll say, well, listen, if you want to give me an actual headshot, I keep a file, right by my desk, so that when I'm in a hurry, or when I'm, or when one of the fellows comes in the door and I'm looking for this specific one, hang on, like, these are the people that were proactive and brought me a dang headshot. Let's see, because
Right.
they really want to do this. Hang on, oh, here's a go. Look at this one. This is great. Yeah. So, but it's true though. A really good shot, even when you're scrolling and you've got your 16 or 24 faces, that you're looking at, that really good shot, you will say, oh, wow. Oh man, now that's a good face. Okay, let me look at the resume, you know, like, 'cause
Exactly.
something is speaking to me and wanting to pull me in closer to know more about that person.
And my little catchphrase I always say is your headshot is the biggest part of your marketing strategy. And there are so many amazing headshot photographers in LA. I mean, find that headshot photographer that you gel with, that you click with, that you can,
Yeah,
have that relationship with so that they can pull that out of you. And because your headshot is so serious. That's if you're going to invest in one thing, invest in a headshot because that's how you're going to get seen. That's your handshake.
exactly. Have you found that you're able to like resume shooting safely? Or are you just letting that go for the time being?
Well, I've had a few people call me and I've done a few the actor can't wear a mask. Actually, I think I'm going to do that. Do just every session, do at least one with them with a mask because who knows? They even if it's just for a profile picture, it's fun to have.
That's
Um,
true.
but I wear a mask the full time. I disinfect everything down. I was kind of a germaphobe before, so I didn't have to make a lot of changes, to be
Changes,
honest.
yeah. No,
Um,
because I'm seeing it more, and I'm
yeah.
seeing, there are some photographers that actually have studios with uh, like a door that makes it partially open air, you know?
Oh, yeah. And I
Mhm.
could do that too. I could leave a door open that's not going to really affect any lighting or bother anything. But, I take your temperature before you come in because I'm really the one at risk here. I'm wearing a mask, so I'm protecting you from me. I'm kind of the vulnerable one in the mix. So take your temperature. I ask that, hey, if you've been exposed or you're not taking it serious, please don't come in. If you haven't been taking this serious and doing your due diligence to, you know, be smart and wear a mask in public, please find another photographer. Just because this is me and
Right.
my
So,
family.
yeah, and
But most actors are smart. Most actors realize that, it's we have to be safe because we all want to go back to work. So, I've they come in and, I thought it would hinder me because I'm so expressive and I get so engaged with my clients. But people say that they're still good. They can still see my eyes and I used to be pretty in your face as far as let me adjust this, let me get your hair. I'm a nitpicker because I don't like to Photoshop. I'm lazy. I want you to be perfect. So now
mhm.
I've learned to use my words. Okay, fix your hair right here. You've got a little thing here. Fix and it's good, and people respond well. They don't, I've never I'm surprised how easy this is going because we're all in this together and we're all being nice to each other.
Mhm.
Or I'm like, okay, here, look in the mirror, do you see what I'm talking about? That if I can't get it expressed to them, but so I can keep my distance and it's been fun. And another thing is, I'll just be straight up honest. If you want great headshots, now is the time because once I get you in there, you may have booked a 2 look session, but let me tell you, you will walk out with 6 looks because I am bored and I've got a client in there that's not Merrick and not Sam. Believe me, we're playing. So it's,
You're right.
I
And
mean,
And I mean, so I think, the upshot is you're right though. It's like if you're thinking about shooting, you should contact photographers. You should
see
see
what their policy
if
is.
what their policy is, what their safety protocols are, see if you feel, safe about it. Um, you can even ask to, you can ask to, I'm sure, to FaceTime and have them walk you through their studio so you
Oh,
get an
yeah.
idea of how big it actually is if you don't
Yeah.
want to go in person, which
Right.
I certainly understand. But I mean, you know, it's it's um it's certainly worth the conversation, I think, because I do. I'm glad to hear this from you. I know a couple of other photographers that have found a way to go back safely and are reporting, as are the actors that are being shot,
Yeah.
that it's been a great experience, that nobody ever felt at risk, that so much care was being taken. So
Yeah. And I really that's been my experiences, but I always have awesome clients anyway. I feel like the clients that find me are are awesome people. You know what I mean? I just feel like that's kind of the people I attract. So I've never had any any issues. We've had a great time. And like I said, I'm happier when I'm working. So everybody in the house is happy when I get to go out and and play. And I'm fortunate I have a huge space, and it's fun. And it's been easier than I thought. I was concerned that, can I keep 6 feet or plus, away, and can I work with the mask? But absolutely, you just do it. You just have fun and do it. So.
Oh, good. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I mean, we are all just this and this, and and hoping we can find our way back. I know a lot of people in the voiceover community are just happy as clams to
Right.
record home. They don't need to go into studios. They're just stay at home. I'm not going anywhere.
We
Right?
upgraded at the beginning of this. We upgraded some sound stuff that we had been discussing doing anyway. But we were like, well, if we're going to do it, now's the time to do it. And, let Merrick's agent know, okay, this is what we have. This is, we have this little sound booth all set up. We have this and that. And that's another thing. If you haven't yet, check in with your agents. Oh my gosh, check in with your agents, because if they haven't heard from you, they are assuming that you're just hunkering down and not wanting to work. So let them know what your comfort level is. Let them know what you're doing, how you're feeling, what equipment you have at home, because I know that the agents and managers that I've spoke with, they want to know.
Yeah, they're very interested to know what kind of
Because they're
setups you
reaching
have,
out to casting directors, and they're keeping on top of things. So,
Yep.
well, this has been so fun, Victoria. Thank you so much for
Yeah.
taking the time.
So
Now,
much
how
for
are you
the
on social
invitation.
media? Would you love all of my followers to follow you? And what's your favorite platform?
I'm do more on Instagram than I do on Twitter, but they are
Cool.
both, yeah, they are both at Vic Hoffman LA. So, which is interesting, back in the day when we set up all of our accounts, I don't think I was thinking about branding. So, so for now it's Vic Hoffman LA, which is not exactly, it should be grander than that, shouldn't it? Victoria Hoffman Casting.
There you
But that
go.
takes so long to, yeah, anyway. So no, but I find it, I use Instagram more than Twitter. Twitter for me right now, I don't know how everybody else feels about it, but it just, in current time, there's a lot of anxiety on Twitter.
Yeah.
So I'm not using it.
Are you in a meeting?
Yes. Almost done. Shared space. And yeah, but I'm sure a lot of your listeners and your watchers probably have a better Instagram game than I do.
Well, I feel like about everybody has a better Instagram game than I do, and I've gone through times when I've tried really hard, and I've gone through times where I'm like, you know what, I just personally enjoy Instagram, so I'm here, and if I have followers, that's great. If I don't, I'm here. I'm gonna love it.
I think as the things that I'm working on, as those start to come back, then
Uh-huh.
I'm very engaged, obviously,
Yeah.
but I'll be posting more and doing more like IG lives and things, like from, if not from campus itself, then, like with directors, on projects, so that people can see what's going on and what the process looks like.
Yeah.
I think that would be useful,
Yeah.
so yeah.
So everybody follow her, and I'm going to leave the links below, of course. And do you have a website as well?
Yeah, it's just victoriahoffman.com.
There you go. I like that.
I got that. The new and improved is actually going live tonight, I think. So.
Oh, so before this airs, because this will air Thursday, so you'll be up. So everybody go check out. Give her a bunch of traffic to her new and improved website. Let's just shut it down. We'll just overwhelm it. Your server will be, with all of my 50 followers, But yes, that's great. So we'll go check out your new website. I'm excited to see it. And everybody go follow follow you on Twitter and on Instagram. And of course, follow me everywhere. I'm all over the place as well. And this has been, I'm just so excited. I'm just excited to see you. I just want to talk your ear off. But I do appreciate you guys taking the time to watch these vlogs. Make sure that you share this with all your friends and family and leave us tons and tons of comments. And most importantly, have an amazing week. I'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye. We did it. Yay.